we now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF
is
now.
that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to nothing.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. My main man, Tyrone A. Johnson, here as well. And I want to start off just by thanking all of you for making us officially, tangibly, statistically, the fastest growing 1 hour podcast in the world right now, with 50 million views in October alone. And they tell me that we're pacing already ahead of that in the month of November. So can't thank you enough for your patronage and support of the things we like to do here, having fun talking about sports. And we had a football game where that's what they told me we were going to have last night. And I told you guys yesterday that the Raiders were going to keep it close and maybe win the game. Hopefully you took my advice and did the right thing with that information. But neither here nor there. I have a statement to make right out of the gate for those of you that are checking us out and watched last night's game, which was an impossibility. And I watched it to the bitter end once they got that last first down and then said, game over, 10-7, we'll run out of here with the dub against the Raiders. The Denver Broncos are now the first team in football with 8 wins. So allow me to say this. They are the worst 8-win team in the NFL. And I know that sets me up that I can't be wrong since they're the only 8-win team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it one step further. They are the worst first-place team in the NFL. They're not a good football team. They barely beat the Jets. They barely beat the Giants. If you take a look at their wins, they have 1 win against a winning team. That was against your Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And that was a great win, but the Eagles got all cockeyed in the second half of that game.
Yeah, a lot of it was Eagles' mistakes, but credit to them.
You go on the road, you beat Philly and Philly.
Yeah.
That's a quality dub.
Yeah.
But you could see their schedule right there and their wins and losses, and it's not their fault. I'll give them that. You only play who's on your schedule. But the Denver Broncos are not a very good football team.
No.
Bo Nix is not playing very good football. And they have a good defense.
Very good.
Good defense. But even last night's win, to me, had nothing at all to do with what the Denver Broncos did. It had everything to do with just how inept and disgusting the Vegas Raiders offense is. And I got to tell you something right now. I don't have deep feelings for athletes that lose because you get paid a boatload of money to play sports. And if you lose, so what? You go home to a beautiful house, a beautiful girlfriend or wife, great looking kids, and a saltwater pool. Yeah. So I don't feel bad for you. But I feel bad for Max Crosby, man. I feel bad for the dudes on that Raider defense who balled out yesterday and held the Denver Broncos to 10 points. But there's a side story in this game. that I find very interesting that not another show in America has brought up or talked about, considering a lot of shows on TV that you guys like to watch, I like to watch as well, believe that they have like the moral high ground when it comes to things that happen in sports. So you might remember a week ago, there were a lot of people that do things like sports podcasts, sports TV shows, talk radio, etc., who went on and on and on and on about how the Washington Commanders failed Jaden Daniels because they let him play in the fourth quarter of a blowout loss, and then sadly he got hurt.
Yep.
And the rhetoric then was, well, what a miscarriage of justice, right? Malpractice on behalf of Dan Quinn in Washington. Why is your star quarterback in the game? And I came in and I said, it's nonsense. Your star quarterback is in the game because the dude's a competitor. And because you never let anyone think that you're a bunch of quitters. And that's why Jaden Daniels was in the game with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter in a 30-point blowout loss, because he's not a quitter. Because the message to the team is, we play.
All the way through.
All right? And he was not injured prior to getting injured.
Right.
Okay? I'm wondering where all those sanctimonious a-holes are today when it comes to Pete Carroll's decision not to take Geno Smith out of that game in the fourth quarter. Geno Smith got hit pretty hard. It looked like on his thigh or his quad. I think you call it medically. That's the medical term for it. Quad.
Yeah.
Is what we call it.
Recep. Quad's recep.
Quad.
Recep,
That's what doctors call quad. That's what it is. And literally, he couldn't walk. So you're in a tight ball game. A ball game that you have a chance to win and kind of ruin the Denver Broncos' attempt to get another game ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs and solidify themselves as a playoff team. And I know Kenny Pickett sucks also, but Kenny Pickett was able to walk.
Yeah.
Geno Smith couldn't walk, meaning Pete Carroll and Geno wanted to play. And I totally respect the fact that even though he's a lousy quarterback and a clown, I respect the fact that Geno Smith has that dog in him and that fight in him. It was like, I want to go out there and play. My point is, shouldn't have there been an adult in the room, namely Pete Carroll, who recognized that his quarterback, and I'm not making this up, I know a lot of you went to bed by the fourth quarter, rightfully so. It was a dreadful football game. It set the sport back 100 years. That's how bad it was. But for guys like me, diehards, guys that watch every sporting event to the conclusion, because that's my job, that's what I get paid to do, I'm saying to myself, either Pete Carroll's senile, and he's about 80 years old, and maybe he is senile, and is not paying attention to what's happening on the field of play, or he wants Geno Smith to get killed. Because Geno Smith did not belong on that football field yesterday. He didn't. He couldn't walk, meaning by default, he couldn't protect himself. He couldn't scramble. And they didn't even let him throw the football once he got hurt. It was all run, 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 run. And I tuned into all these shows that literally a week ago were yelling and screaming about the malpractice of Dan Quinn having his best player, his quarterback, healthy in the fourth quarter of a blowout, and then sadly he got hurt. And none of them had anything to say today about the malpractice of senile Pete Carroll allowing Geno Smith, a man who literally couldn't walk, be on the football field. And I'm saying to myself, lack of consistency. They don't give a rat's ass about Geno Smith. They must have been fans of the Redskins or Commodores, whatever they're called these days, and that's why they were upset, because their star player got hurt and they had to blame it on someone. But watching the game last night, the two things I took out of it were the Denver Broncos are not winning a Super Bowl.
No.
They are not a good football team. They're just not. And most of their wins, albeit against bad teams, are by a score or less, right? Including last night. You get a 3-point win at home against an inept offense and bad football team. So that's the first thing I took out of it. And you could clip this and put it out. I'll say it clearly for you. The Denver Broncos are the worst first-place team in the league. They are not winning a Super Bowl. They are not very good on offense. And they're not fun to watch. On the flip side, Pete Carroll's done. It is time for someone to put him out to pasture like we do the 5-year-old thoroughbred. It's time to say, good night, Pete, because the game has passed him by, life has passed him by, and the fact that he didn't recognize that his starting quarterback couldn't walk, and in a close game that they had a chance to win, the fact that he put him back on the field when he couldn't walk, couldn't protect himself, and couldn't run the offense, if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm saying to myself, why do we carry 2 quarterbacks? Why do we have 3 quarterbacks? Why do we have any quarterbacks? Gino can't play either. And that was my takeaway from last night's game. But I'll say this. The NFL should be embarrassed by the performance that we saw last night. That was bad football. And I know bad football because I'm a Jet fan.
Yeah.
That was the worst non-Jet game I have seen in a long time.
And it got played when on a Thursday. Now, I know the
Right.
NFL only cares about money, and they don't care about the fans. They don't care about the players and stuff. And I know a lot of fans don't care about the players, but tired players lead to worse football.
Oh, I'm not
for
buying
the
that
fan.
Thursday
for
night.
the fan.
I'm not
it's
buying it.
true.
I'm not buying
it's
it.
factually accurate.
It's not. I'm not buying
Yes, it is. Look at the
Tyrone,
Thursday
we've seen
games.
great Thursday
no,
night
not
games.
really. You see close Thursday night
I've
games. You
seen
never
some
see
great
good ones.
Thursday
you
night
never see
games.
good execution
Here's the
because the turnaround's too short, and it hurts us. It hurts
Nonsense.
all the fans.
Listen.
I'm for you fans. Craig, I don't know. I'm for you fans. That football, when you get players out there playing like crap, it hurts us.
Yeah, no, look,
hurts us.
it was hard to watch. I almost canceled my Amazon subscription, but I remembered I get free shipping.
You need the shipping.
So
You
I
need the
didn't,
shipping,
I didn't cancel
right.
because this time of year you need that free shipping
that
from
shipping.
Amazon. But I don't buy that. I know you're not alone in saying that, so it's not crazy
Bad
that you have that
games.
opinion. We had a bad game last night because we have bad teams playing. That wasn't because they played on Thursday. That game would have been just as bad on Sunday afternoon. Coming up, we have an NFL Insider breaking news right here exclusively on The Carton Show.
Starts off on a positive note of getting Lamar Jackson back Thursday night, which was great. He threw for 200 yards, did not look rusty at all. He only rushed for 15, but he didn't really need that. Lamar Jackson also threw for 4 touchdowns, 2 of which going to Mark Andrews. So guess who's back and relative again at the tight end position now that Lamar's back? Oh, wait, it's Mark Andrews. No kidding. I mean, the guy just catches touchdowns. It's Lamar's favorite guy in the red zone.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If Jacoby Brissett was playing bad football for the past 3 weeks, Kyler Murray will be fully healthy, ready to go. Can't wait to get him on the field at Seattle and try to resurrect our season. Now you have Jacoby Brissett playing really good football. Putting Kyler Murray back in right now because he wasn't playing good football doesn't make any sense. The perfect storm here for Arizona. Hey, Kyler, going on IR takes the pressure off you. And Jacoby, you deserve the start. Go ahead and start, kid.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And the amazing thing you're going to say about Tom Izzo for the jump is, Tom Izzo don't duck anybody. You want to hear who they have to play preseason? Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and Arkansas. This is not the Jimmy Boeheim Don't Leave New York Carrier Dome Classic. This guy plays people.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
No, but the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. You know, I've done this for more than 30 years, and it's always been a pet peeve of mine, Tyrone, when people in the media steal other people's work.
Yeah.
It has been, I hate that when it happens. It's happened to me throughout my 34-year career, and when I see an injustice like that, I like to point it out. So with that, I want to bring on the show Nikki Gist today. Nikki has a podcast called Between the Uprights. She covers some football and is a burgeoning new reporter and is trying to be an insider and talk football with her followers. Nikki, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. So I want to give Nikki credit because it's the first place I saw it. And Nikki is reporting that she has sources that are close to the New York Giants. And the story that Nikki had first, for sure, was that when the Giants blew that game to the Denver Broncos, remember, Denver had 33 points in the fourth quarter, came back and did the unthinkable, that John Mara, the owner of the Giants, was prepared to fire Brian Daboll literally when he got off the plane on their return to New York. And that was your story, right, Nikki?
That's correct. Yes, that was mine.
And walk me through the rest of the story. Once he was going to fire Brian Daboll, based on your reporting, why did he not fire Brian Daboll?
So I was told that Chris Mara talked him out of it. And, you know, the big concern was Jackson Dart's development. And is this really a good time to fire Brian Daboll because we don't we don't want to upset the apple cart. So that is what I put out on Twitter X 2 days ago, and then saw WFAN take it. And, I don't know if they have the same sources. I have no idea. They claim they didn't see the story, and maybe they didn't. I don't know. I mean, we've certainly interacted before. So that's what I was told. And I didn't see anybody else.
Let me help you out here, because here's the thing that bothers me. There are a lot of great reporters. There are a lot of people that have sources within the New York Giants and the Jets and every local team.
Yep.
So it's not impossible that if Nikki has a source that told her, that same source might have told other people that they have relationships with. So I'm not suggesting it's not possible. It is clearly possible that someone who wants to get a story out there would tell multiple people, or that multiple people inside an organization might have known and then told the people that they know. I want to be very clear about that. My problem with it is that when Nikki goes first, and she clearly was first to report it, I know there's some people that just want to dismiss it as, who the hell are you? I've never heard of you before. You don't work for ESPN or the NFL. You're not an insider. And they attack the report only because they're not familiar with Nikki. I think you dealt with some of that. Then, of course, there's the animals that attack your appearance, which is beyond the pale for me, because what you look like has nothing to do with what the report was. But I'm sure you deal with that beyond covering football and all that kind of jazz, because people are just jealous. But my problem with it was that there's no disputing that Nikki was first. So anyone else that comes after her that uses my sources tell me 48 hours after she's already put it out there into the ether, it just doesn't jive with me. Because Nikki's your source.
Right. You're supposed to say, my sources confirm.
Right. You could say that.
You could say, my sources confirm.
And it bothered me, Nikki. I don't know Nikki. I've never met her. I was not very familiar with your work until this story, because I'm a New Yorker, obviously, and follow what goes on with the Jets and Giants, and formerly worked multiple times at WFAN. And it just rankles me because, like Tyrone's right, just come out and say, I can confirm what Nikki reported. Good. We all know that you reported it first, right? So I assume that had to bother you at some level, no?
Yeah, it did bother me. And I did a video. It's funny. So the sports reporting that I do, I co-host a podcast, but I also, my credentials and everything are through Anna and Jay Sports. So that's where this all started, with my first assignment being the Giants, Daboll's first year. And it has evolved into the Jets and the Eagles and basketball and all of this. And so over time, of course, I've built a body of work, and, I've built sources, and I run a very successful marketing company. A lot of people in a lot of big places, and it's okay to say that. And so I was working yesterday, I was at an event, and I got out of work, and my DMs were blowing up, and Sean at WFAN is reporting this, he stole your story. And I kind of went off, because I was like, well, we interact. I'm not saying like, I'm so memorable, you have to remember everybody you talk to. That wasn't it. But let's not act like you didn't see it either. Right. And a caller called into their show. I guess he filled in for Tiki on Tiki and Evan yesterday, and said, hey, Nikki had this out first. And then this morning, Al reaches out and says, can you go on Boomer and Gio's show? Can we clear this up? So I did that. And then you guys reached out. And so I was like, okay.
By the way,
Sure.
I think the attention career-wise is good for you because now people recognize that you know what you're talking about, and you do have sources, at least with the Giants. I don't know about other teams. Like I said, I was not familiar with York prior to this story.
Yeah.
But I guess since I only have about a minute to go here, since you do have sources with the New York Giants and they did not fire Brian Daboll, give us some inside scoop on what you're hearing about the future of both Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen as coach and general manager. Has a decision been made that you're aware of that either or both of those guys will not or will be coming back next year?
Not that I have a definitive, but just simply for the fact of, there is some truth of what I'm hearing about the whole split ticket story that's out there. Joe Schoen's trying to distance himself from Brian Daboll. So I wouldn't be surprised if Schoen stays and Daboll goes.
Wow. So the GM could stay. That's not official. That's just, scuttlebutt.
No.
Right.
That the GM could stay and the coach could go. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. It's I'm like the Pied Piper of righting wrongs in media.
There you go.
That's my job.
That's what you do.
And it pains me because I've been in Nikki's shoes before. Not a lot of people know you yet. You're trying to build a career and credibility as someone who does have, valuable sources. And when someone else comes out 2 days later, it's like, yeah, I've got some sources, and doesn't acknowledge that it's out there, or someone else also has sources. Again, he might have had sources. Maybe he does.
But you weren't first.
But you were clearly first. And
Yeah.
I think people that go first just deserve a little bit of credit
Absolutely.
for being first. That's all.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming on. If you do have other breaking news, consider us as a place to talk about it and announce it. And as the Giants figure out what they're doing with their GM and their coach, definitely keep us in mind and keep doing what you're doing. And I appreciate you coming on. And congrats on having the scoop.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Nikki Gist, right there. Okay,
Now look at that.
between the uprights.
Yeah.
That's a football term right
That
there,
is a
Tyrone.
football term. That is. That's a
That's not
sportsman.
hockey. You're a hockey guy.
Yeah,
That's
no.
between the...
Between the posts.
No. It's
Yes,
not
between the posts.
It's between the pipes.
The pipes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
you're
thought
right.
you were Pucks Johnson.
Yeah, I am Pucks Johnson.
You used to be Pucks
we
Johnson.
We use different terms in my community.
Coming up.
Sauce Gardner heading over to the Indianapolis Colts as they go all in on this season and beyond. As I think a lot of people have been noting, that move does not just say, hey, we like what we have this year. It says we like what we have moving forward, and that includes Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback for Dallas. What does that decision to bring in Quinnen Williams say? That means they're poorly ran, but we already knew that.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state, you're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. Remember the NBA scandal from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Remember Damon Jones, who is one of LeBron James's closest friends?
I remember that.
Who obviously has been snarled in this whole thing. I saw something yesterday, and to be honest, it saddened me. And it showed that you really never know who your friends are. Damon Jones was arraigned yesterday, and he pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, both in regards to trading on private information about LeBron James' held for games to help gamblers win money on prop bets, etc., and on being involved in the illegal or allegedly rigged poker games. There's a video right there of him, I think, entering the court. He did plead not guilty, and now the system grinds to a halt. Now it's going to be at least a year before he actually goes to court. In that time, there'll be plea bargain conversations, et cetera, and we're not done with this story. But here's what's sad to me about it. Because when they talked about Damon Jones prior, and many of you never heard the name Damon Jones, that's all good. He was not a household name. Damon Jones was a bit of a journeyman basketball player, made about $20 million as a player, and then for the last decade or so has been a variety of different coaching staffs, right? So he's a well-thought-of guy. Yeah. And one of his claims to fame is that he and LeBron James are really, really close, to the point that even when he was not an employee of the Lakers, he had carte blanche at the Lakers facility because he's LeBron's guy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Good friends, a legend.
So when he went in there, he had to post bond so that he could, live his life in the community while waiting for trial. If you can't post bond, then you sit in prison and you wait for your trial date to come up. So here's a guy that's made over $20 million. Sadly, he did file for bankruptcy earlier this year. We know that he's involved in gambling at some level, so maybe he squandered away his fortune. Clearly, it looks like he did, because he did file for bankruptcy. But he needed a $200,000 bond. His mom and dad had to put their home up to secure his bond. And I want you to let that sink in, and here's why. His mom and dad are not implicated in this at all. They just love their son. And they're willing to put their home up, and that's just to guarantee that he shows up to court, that he doesn't flee the country. He's already forfeited his passport. I'm sure Damon Jones is not running to Mexico or something like that. But it saddened me because LeBron James is a billionaire. The other men that he's clearly friends with are multimillionaires. And not a single person in Damon Jones' life stepped up to the plate and said, I'll secure the bond. I'll make sure that you can live in the community and be free up until your trial and a potential jail sentence. Not a single person, not a former teammate, not a coach, not LeBron, not Maverick Carter. There's all these guys in Damon Jones' life that are beyond wealthy, that have more money than they could spend in multiple lifetimes, and not a single person came forward and said, I got your bond covered. I don't want you to have to worry about it. I don't want you sitting in jail until your trial, which at a minimum is going to be a year from now, probably longer, okay?
Okay.
And it just, once again, proved to me that all these guys that are involved in Damon Jones's life, professional athletes worth a lot of money, who pretended to be his friend, weren't friends at all. And this is a guy that thought LeBron James was the best friend he had on the planet, as the story goes, right?
Okay.
And you're telling me that when you're in a bad spot, having already filed bankruptcy, with no money in the bank apparently, and you need $200,000 bond, that sometimes that works with, if you have 10% of that in cash, you can do that. So 20 grand cash.
Yeah.
Or my mom and dad have to put their house up that they've lived in for 30 years to secure the bond. And LeBron James didn't. And Maverick Carter didn't. And other guys that he's friendly with for sure, who are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. And not a single dude put up 20 grand so that he wouldn't have to sit in jail. Not only is LeBron a bad teammate, LeBron's a bad friend. With friends like that, you don't need enemies. Not a single dude stepped up.
So wait a minute. So if you get in trouble,
guys with generational wealth, and all he needed was 20 grand to stay out of jail, and no one said, I got the 20K. That's crazy.
Is it crazy, though?
Crazy.
It's not crazy.
Crazy.
Because if he pays the bail, you're now ripping him and talking about how he's implicated.
No.
LeBron can't win in that case if he plays a guy's bail.
I would respect the fact,
you wouldn't.
and I've lived it. I've walked in his shoes.
Yeah, David Jones' shoes, sure.
I would respect the fact that a friend is a friend.
I don't believe that.
And has loyalty and is there at your lowest moments in life. And Damon Jones learned a valuable lesson yesterday. All these guys that he thought were his buddies, not a single one of them gives a rat's ass if he rots in jail for the rest of his life. Shame on all of you who used to call Damon Jones a friend. You all suck. Not a single one of you is a solid friend. Yuck.
Jeremiah Love is a player that you have to keep an eye out on just because of a running back, his versatility, how good he is in the receiving game this year. We haven't seen a running back potentially crack the top three when you just think about it with the Heisman Trophy back there. Jeremiah Love just dominant. If Notre Dame wins out and they're in the college football playoff, Love should be involved in the conversation.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Starts off on a positive note of getting Lamar Jackson back Thursday night, which was great. He threw for 200 yards, did not look rusty at all. He only rushed for 15, but he didn't really need that. Lamar Jackson also threw for 4 touchdowns, 2 of which going to Mark Andrews. So guess who's back and relative again at the tight end position now that Lamar's back? Oh, wait, it's Mark Andrews. No kidding. I mean, the guy just catches touchdowns. It's Lamar's favorite guy in the red zone.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Blue Jays are going to be dangerous for years to come because they have money. They're a fun team. Other players like Guerrero, the Blue Jays are a first-class organization. They treat the players very well. They're first-class complex. As I stated earlier, you can live like across the street from the stadium and there's no drama. You don't have to sit in traffic ever. You have an entire country that buys your jerseys and are big fans of yours.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Some a couple of like low-hanging fruit football stories I want to go over with you. The Cleveland Browns, as bad as they are actually favored this weekend. Now, who could they possibly be playing that's worse than them that the odds makers think the Browns are the better team? Inquiring minds want to know. This is my Rizzler impersonation. Kids got a grilled cheese sandwich at Hardee's. I got Tyrone.
You won. You win.
You win. So the Cleveland Browns are favored because they play the New York Jets.
That's right.
Without Sauce Gardner, of course, without Quinnen Williams, without a quarterback, without a lot of things the New York Jets are. And the storyline in Cleveland right now, and if you're the Jets, you should just be thoroughly embarrassed that the Cleveland Browns are favored against you. But, of course, the storyline of this game is this going to be the game we finally see Shedeur Sanders? He's not going to start. Dylan Gabriel's still the starter. Stefanski was very honest about that going into their bye week, that the bye week is about building up Dylan Gabriel, and he's going to be the starter. But there's a side story coming out of Cleveland now that I find fascinating because it's coming from the Cleveland Browns, although they'll never admit it. And to me, it's coming from Kevin Stefanski, although he'll never admit it. You know what the narrative has been from day one? The narrative has been that Kevin Stefanski is purposely holding Shedeur down and does not want to give him the chance to be the starting quarterback. And yet no one knows why that is, but that's one narrative in Cleveland, that he's got it out for Shedeur. I've never bought into that narrative because I don't know why you would draft a kid that you have it out for from day one. But neither here nor there. It's out there. We've talked about it a million times.
And I do buy it. I think he was an ownership pick. The coaching staff never wanted him.
Fair enough. Look, we know the owner's kids want Shedeur Sanders
that stuff happens.
playing because they wore his jersey on the sideline of a game a couple weeks ago. But I love this because now Kevin Stefanski is like a trapped raccoon in the corner and he's fighting back. And he's doing it, in my opinion, privately and leaking things to certain members of the media. All right? I have an affinity for Cleveland because the city of Cleveland was very good to me. I lived there for a year, okay? The narrative that's now leaking out of Cleveland, it's a question. And the question is, does Shedeur want to play? And I want to repeat that. The narrative now in Cleveland is the question, does Shedeur really want to play, or does he recognize that he's in a no-win situation because the Browns are so bad? And if he does get into a game and replaces Dillon Gabriel and he stinks, which he kind of stunk in the last preseason game, but there were excuses made for him that he was playing with second and third and fourth string guys. So it's not a real litmus test of whether or not he could play at the NFL level, and that's probably fair. But the question is now, is he going out of his way to not be available to play? Now, he did practice on Wednesday. He still has some ailing back issue. To be fair, I'm a doctor. I saw him go to Colorado during the bye week and surprised Dion at Colorado, and he looked fantastic.
You
and he ran out on the field.
You didn't watch the video.
And he was bending over and standing up and looked fantastic. And if you have a back injury, maybe you should be getting treatment in Cleveland and not flying to Colorado. But neither here nor there.
He also on the video said when someone went to give him a hug, watch the back on the video.
What you
multiple
say and
times.
what you do are two different things, obviously.
He winced with his back.
But I love this narrative because it's Stefanski's way of saying, you guys can beat me up all you want. The kid don't want it. Why am I going to play a kid that's coming up with Fugazi injuries not to play? Now, to me, the one game you'd want to play in would be this game.
Of course.
The Jets stink.
Of course.
And they just got rid of their best defensive tackle, who leads the league in sacks since he came into the league for 300-pound plus guys, meaning heavy defensive linemen. And you got rid of the Jets' best cover cornerback.
Right.
So if I'm a quarterback, I want to play against the New York Jets. But the Browns are now leaking it out there, which is why this is only going to end one way, and that's in an ugly divorce, right? The Browns now want people to think that Shedeur is inventing a back injury, invented the oblique injury back in August, because at the end of the day, he don't want to play because this is not a great situation, to be fair, for quarterbacks. Like Joe Flacco looks reborn in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he looked terrible with the Browns.
He was terrible with the Browns.
Yeah.
To be fair, Dillon Gabriel, he gets some grace because he is a rookie quarterback. And he's only had, 3-4 starts in his entire career. So he gets some grace, but he's been terrible. And my gut tells me that Stefanski might be right, that Shedeur is certainly not stupid, and Dion is not stupid. And they both recognize play out. If he comes in and balls out, he's the starting quarterback of the Browns.
Yep.
It's unlikely that would happen only because the Browns stink.
They're very bad.
The Browns are not a good football team on offense, right? Their offensive line isn't very good. You can't name their wide receivers. Their best offensive weapon is their tight end, Njoku. And where's the rest of the talent? So play it out, because it's genius, right? Like some dudes play chess, some dudes play checkers. The Sanders play chess. If Shedeur does get in and struggles, which I think he will, not just because he's a rookie, but the offense is not there to support an inexperienced rookie quarterback. We all agree on that, right?
Yes, for sure.
So if Shedeur plays and the offense doesn't look any better, then it could be a wrap. Then everyone, myself included, that didn't think Shedeur was a legitimate quality starting quarterback in the NFL, we all pump up our chests and go, told you so. That dude's no better than Dillon Gabriel. So I give the Sanders credit because at this point in the season, there's no benefit to him playing because it's not going to go well. And then the idea will be in the offseason, get yourself out of Cleveland, which I think is possible because I think the Browns are going to draft another quarterback because they're going to be drafted top 10.
Yeah.
So my gut is they go get another quarterback. And then you've got Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and another quarterback who would be the next franchise quarterback. So if Shedeur can somehow avoid looking like an incompetent, inadequate quarterback, which I think he'll look like because the Browns stink, and you can force your way out of Cleveland, then go get a fresh start with a team that knows how to develop a quarterback. But I think it's genius. It's chess all day. It ain't checkers. And I think 100% it's coming from Stefanski or people close to him. And they want to turn the tables on. It's not my fault if the kid showed work ethic or an understanding of the offense or desire to play or that warrior mentality. I would play him. And this is going to end beautifully for guys like us because we're not Browns fans. It is going to end so dramatically ugly. I got all the popcorn ready to go.
So I am to believe that Shedeur is lazy.
Not lazy. That's not the word. Not a fair word.
You said lack of work. He lacks work ethic. What's the difference between work ethic and lazy?
Go ahead. I'll let you go with it.
That's called him lazy.
Yeah, sure. Go
that
ahead.
He's lazy, but very smart and not very talented. But smart. So he's just smart, not talented and lazy.
I don't know about the talent part. I know this. I don't think he would be good enough yet. I could be dead wrong. To be successful specifically with the Browns offense.
No, that part very well may be true. And now Stefanski knows it. And rather than just stick to his guns and be a man, he's going to leak like a sissy and try to now take the kid down a couple more plays.
100% yes. Because it's also, we're all humans.
Yeah.
It's also about my reputation, my job, survival.
Yeah.
When I'm fingers crossed, I don't get fired. He probably will, but I'm holding on.
That's what he's hoping for.
I'm holding on with hope, right?
Yeah.
And if I can because right now the camp is you're screwing Shedeur on purpose, and look at the guy you chose over him. Dylan Gabriel can't play.
He looks bad so far.
Because he's looked so bad, there's no answer for why won't you even consider Shedeur? Shedeur's name could be Joe Blow. It doesn't matter. He's the backup quarterback. And if the starting quarterback is so inept, which Dylan Gabriel has been, we'd ask these questions anyway. Why doesn't Joe Blow get an opportunity?
Whatever the backup
This
is.
guy's so bad.
Right, whatever the backup is.
And because of that, and Stefanski's taking slings and arrows, he wants to change the narrative. The reason I'm not going to Shedeur is because he don't want to play. It's genius, is it not?
It is genius, and it may be true, but it means Stefanski's not good enough as a coach.
Fair enough.
Because a real coach would be able to handle
No far
this.
from me on that. He's not a great coach, but I love it because he's now trying to match wits with the Sanders, and I'm here for all of it. We'll keep an eye on it, and they'll probably beat the Jets this week.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF now.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous Pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Another weekend of football. We're all pumped up for college, of course, and the pros, plus college basketball is fully underway now as well. But if you're a YouTube TV guy, you ain't getting ESPN or ABC. You're going to miss out on a lot of sports this weekend, and it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. Nope. And I want to fast forward 3 days just real quick. We have a great Monday night game between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. And the way it stands right now, if you are one of the 10 million people that subscribe to YouTube TV, you are not watching Eagles-Packers on Monday night. And for those of you that think that YouTube is desperate to keep ESPN, they're not. YouTube is successful without ESPN. Obviously, they make more money with them.
Of course.
But YouTube can survive this. They will survive this if they don't figure it out. ESPN will survive also, but not at the same levels they currently have. And to me, it's starting to feel like and smell like a ploy on the ESPN side to force people to buy the ESPN app.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the app is nowhere near as good as the coverage we get with the click of a button, obviously on our television sets with YouTube TV. But my gut is this is just greed. This is just ESPN going, we'll force people to buy the app. There'll be some kind of watershed moment or number that we'll bring in financially. Then we'll go back to the table with YouTube. And then at that point, the deal doesn't matter.
Right.
We'll sign up for whatever they want it to be. We'll get a little extra money, maybe, but not a crazy amount extra, because we'll have made up the difference by forcing people who can't live without their weekend sports or Monday Night Football. And it just stinks because we all get screwed.
Right.
Because remember, we were the ones that were forced to cut the cord, and YouTube TV came along. It was a godsend for us.
Absolutely.
And then as New Yorkers, we kind of got screwed. No Yes, no SNY, no MSG. But around the country, nobody cares about that. We care about it as New Yorkers. That's our fight. But you take away ESPN, Disney, ABC, now you're a dude with kids at home. No Disney. Wah! Mm-hmm. Now you're a college football fan. No ESPN, ABC. Wah!
That means no SEC football.
Right? You're a Monday Night Football dude. You ain't getting Green Bay, Philly. Wah! And like always, we the people get screwed. And if I was going to focus a little bit of the blame, one way versus the other, because there's blame on both sides.
Absolutely.
A little bit more to ESPN.
I agree with you.
Because you got to treat your viewers and the fans of the sports that you pay $1 gazillion for with a little bit more respect. You cannot take sports away from us, because there will come a moment when we find it somewhere else and we're not going to the ESPN app. Like, you guys thought they really shut down Stream East a couple months ago?
No, come on.
It's back. If you want to stream games, you'll find a way, and it don't cost you nothing. So at some point, the fans will not come back and want to see what you offer. That's number one. Number two, the inbred weasels down at Virginia Tech.
Oh, my goodness.
Who've been attacking me for the last week because I said that Frank Beamer, never won. I'm very respectful of Frank Beamer's career. He never won a championship. Matter of fact, Virginia Tech only went to one championship game. It was back in 2000, and Florida State waxed them in that game.
Yeah.
Now, Beamer is like top 10 all-time with wins.
Yeah.
Great guy. Everybody loves him.
He built that program.
Yeah, but let's not pretend like Virginia Tech's the bastion of great football. It's not, and hasn't been for a very, very long time. Anyway, Virginia Tech fans are all pumped up that James Franklin is rumored to be in conversation with Virginia Tech to coach the Hokies moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But it just shows you what kind of people the fans of Virginia Tech are.
Yeah.
There was a random light-skinned black man, bald with glasses, in Virginia Tech. There he is right there. And because people in Virginia Tech are, A, not all that educated, B, the acceptance rate of Virginia Tech is literally 60%.
Oh.
Everybody that applies gets in because they're stupid down there.
Oh, my God.
And there's probably some racial overtones as well. They were like, James Franklin's in town. James Franklin's on campus. James Franklin's the next head coach of Virginia Tech football. All they did was see a guy who is clearly not James Franklin, but he's light-skinned. He's bald, so we don't know any better because we're stupid. James Franklin is now the head coach at Virginia Tech.
Man, I know that guy. That's Roy. He makes bagels in my town. That's Roy the bagel maker. Taking a trip. His daughter goes to Virginia Tech.
There you
That's
go.
Roy right there. That's not James Franklin. That's my buddy Roy.
There you go.
All right.
Roy signing autographs right now.
Come on.
Now, James Franklin might very well go to the ACC in Virginia Tech.
Yeah, maybe.
Based on other offers that exist or don't exist. But that dude right there, that is not James Franklin.
That's Roy.
You inbred weasels. It's just crazy. Oh, light-skinned, bald, black guy? That's got to be James Franklin.
No.
He's coming to college. Florida basketball had the premiere of the tallest college basketball player of all time in history.
Yeah.
7'9". I think it's French. Olivier Roux.
Yeah.
Do I pronounce that right?
Olivier seems
Is it
right.
Oliver Riux or Olivier Roux?
That one.
I'm going with that one.
Yeah, that one.
Sounds French, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy him while you can. I'll just say that.
Well, why? He's a redshirt freshman, got his first minute.
Because
has a big career ahead, right?
No, you know my philosophy. 7-footers do not live long.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't wish the kid any harm. I'm excited to watch him play. He's 7'9". He's 7'9". He's like I'm just saying. You know a lot of old 7-footers? I don't.
Do I know old 7-footers?
No,
I don't know any old
Because
7-footers.
Really, really tall people and really, really short people do not have the same life expectancy as regular-sized people. That's a sad fact, but it's a fact. So enjoy Olivier Roux while you can. You're probably not going to be able to enjoy it very long because he's 7'9".
You know,
I don't know a lot of 90-year-old 7'9" dudes.
Well, you put me in a tough spot. When I'm growing up, my dad tells me about the '83 Sixers. I get the opportunity to meet Moses Malone.
Okay.
He passed away at 60.
Thus, my
This
point.
is what I'm saying. You put me in a bind.
The only really tall guys that I know who have survived past like 70 are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell, the late Bill Russell.
Yeah.
And Kareem's still alive.
He is.
But like Andre the Giant ain't alive.
No.
Right?
I'm trying to think. Wilt Chamberlain was a young man too.
Right. Because the body can't. It's not meant to be. I don't know. Like little people are the same way. You know a lot of 85-year-old little people?
Nope.
Right, because they don't live long. Again, don't get mad at me. Don't kill the messenger. These are just medical facts. That's all it is. They're medical facts that they can't be disputed. And final thing for news and notes, I want to congratulate the humble Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he's
who
humble.
last night became the all-time leading rebounder among shooting guards. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I humbly want the world to know I'm the greatest rebounding two guard in the history of the NBA. So congratulations, Russ. I've always been a Westbrook guy. And now he's number one as a number two. More coming up after this.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
No, but the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, She's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF
Oh, is
now.
that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to nothing.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I don't know any of that history.
Numerous Pops got to go.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The sad story of Antonio Brown keeps getting sadder. You may have seen the news yesterday. He was extradited from Dubai back to New Jersey. Then eventually, I guess he'll go to Florida.
Yeah.
He's accused of attempted murder at an Aiden Ross boxing match.
Yeah.
His defense was it was self-defense. But we've seen the video of him pulling the trigger and hearing the gun go off, right?
Yeah.
So Antonio Brown is in a world of trouble. And my gut is they're not letting him out. Because if you go to Dubai to go get a dude and bring him back, you ain't letting that guy just walk the streets freely, right?
Yeah, how could you give him bail?
Yeah,
Because
so,
he will flee.
And what a terrible waste of talent and career and the money and all the stuff that goes with it. He's obviously a troubled dude, but they went to Dubai to go get him, A, because he was flaunting it, and B, because he was flaunting it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't come get me? Okay. Challenge accepted.
Why wouldn't you just get low and just live?
Right, just zip your lip. If someone's funding his lifestyle, obviously.
Right.
Zip your lip and disappear. Right? Do like Joe Lowe did. Zip your lip and disappear. Anyhow, we had a great weekend of football. Remember, this is week 2 of my master plan of taking over the NFL for the Baltimore Ravens, right?
That's right.
The Baltimore Ravens play the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy. Ravens, they're favored in this game, I believe, right? Against Minnesota?
They are 4.5 on the road.
This is easy cheese, as we call it, for the Baltimore Ravens. They can get within a game of the Kansas City Chiefs if they beat Minnesota. Casey's got the bye, so they can be a game out in the loss column if they take care of business. And don't forget, Pittsburgh plays the Chargers as well. So the Baltimore Ravens, while they'll still be under 500, they'd go to 4-5. They'd be a game away from Kansas City for 8th, still a spot out of the playoffs, and they'd be a game out of first place if the Chargers beat the Steelers. So a lot riding on the AFC North this weekend as Baltimore starts, I think, their voyage to the Super Bowl, as they will not lose again this regular season as long as Lamar stays healthy.
Now, remember, the Steelers did win last week. We threw the plan off a little bit.
Against
you had them losing to the Colts.
Yes.
They won that game. Any fear that the Steelers could put up a firewall between you and glory?
No. Look, I think that's going to be a tough game against the Chargers. I would pick the Chargers to win that game.
I probably would as well.
But Baltimore's winning out. So I feel very comfortable. Pittsburgh's not going to stand in Baltimore's way. Baltimore is arguably the best team in all of football.
All of football?
That might be a stretch. It's Friday. I'm wearing shorts.
It's cold out.
All right. Time now.
You're wearing shorts. It's freezing outside.
Time now for Tyrone's 3-pack of picks.
Yes.
If you're going to wager, have a plan. If you think his picks are great, follow him. That's fine. But never chase bad losses. Live to fight another day. And you don't have to gamble to enjoy football. Tyrone, take it away.
Yes, indeed. I'm 18-8 so far this season. I was 2-1 last week. Just full transparency for all the people. 2 college, 1 pro this week. Let's start in the SEC. Georgia, I like them -9.5 at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is no longer just a doormat, but they haven't won any conference games. I think Georgia goes there and handles them fairly easy.
That's a bad pick.
Why? Why is it a bad pick? Why is it a bad pick?
I don't know.
Here's another one. So I talked to a bunch of people now because I've been doing this on the show. I've been getting more and more data sent to me with the advanced things, especially because the college football playoffs came out, those first rankings. So I like Iowa at home plus the 6.5 versus Oregon. I actually like them to win the game outright. So if you want to do it on the money line, fine. But I'm taking the 6.5 against Oregon at home.
And you think they beat them outright?
I think they beat them outright.
In Oregon?
No, it's in Iowa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, in Iowa at home. I think they're going to win the game outright, but give me the 6.5 against Oregon. I like them there.
That'd be a big upset.
And the other part is they have been playing very well, Iowa, so far. They have some offense, which they have not had in years.
Okay.
And then going over to the NFL.
Dun, 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 dun.
Now, let me tell you something. I know Craig has this rule of never bet on bad teams. Well, this week in NFL, almost everyone's bad. There's a lot of bad teams.
I've told you this years ago, never bet on bad teams.
That's right. But this team is about to get a shot in the arm. Aaron Glenn's about to show you a lot of things. I am telling you, the Jets Jets, I like them plus the 2.5 versus the Browns this week. In fact, I like them to once again win the game, and we see the premiere of Shedeur Sanders in the NFL in the second half of this Jets victory.
Like, you know I love you.
Yeah.
And I know you know your football.
Yeah.
If for anyone, I just want this is a public service announcement. If you take your hard-earned money and you wager it on the New York Jets playing football, you have a better chance of winning betting on the Jets to beat the Knicks. Because they are a bad football team. Aaron Glenn's a bad coach.
Nope.
Justin Fields is a bad quarterback.
Yes.
They just got rid of their two best defensive players. Right. They benched Quincy Williams, who was their best linebacker for a good portion of the last 2 years.
That's right. It's subordinate.
Please don't follow this. And it's a bad team against a bad team.
3-0 coming. 3-0 coming, people.
I hope you win. I do.
3-0.
I do hope you win. But this is why casinos are beautiful. Because you just give them your money. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. And good luck with all your picks. Thank you for watching. That's